Rarely do couples ever go on more than one honeymoon, and many may argue that every new iPhone brings a lot of the same. But this is not one of those cases. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and I've just spent 24 hours with the iPhone 7 Plus, brought to you by Dbrand. Pocketnow's iPhone 7 coverage is brought to you by Dbrand. To buy the best fitting skin for your phone or tablet, visit dbrand.com. We live in a society that continuously sells the concept that bigger is better. And before we begin with the "that's what she said" jokes, let's be clear. Strapping the name Plus on this iPhone finally makes sense. In the past, the Plus was just the bigger iPhone with OIS, but the iPhone 7 Plus is finally what I'd call a better one, at least to a certain degree. Setting it up for the first time brings a blend of old and new. We've got the same hello screen that later leads to the activation through Wi-Fi or cellular. You then set up your fingerprint, and then options to set up your iPhone as new or restore from iCloud. I am a big fan of iCloud restores given how easily it is to get a carbon copy of your old iPhone, so I followed that route. Then you set up Apple Pay, and this then switches to your new Force Touch home button setup. You get 3 taptic sensitivity options, out of which I chose the second one, even if none really feel as natural as pressing a button. More on this in a minute. And voila, you're now restoring to your new home screen. Or should I say your old home screen. The amount of time it takes to restore depends on your internet connection and the content load. Right about here is where I started running into a couple of hurdles over our base storage experiment. See, I'm restoring from an old 64GB iPhone 6s, so about halfway through the restore I had to begin deleting games and old videos just to make ends meet. And about everything else, this is pretty much an iPhone. In the similarities department, you've got the same grid of icons, and I even wonder why Apple only bundled one new wallpaper. Yeah, just one new one. iOS 10 does provide a bevy of new enhancements like a new control center, better options to interact with notifications, and other improvements we've discussed on separate videos. Now, even while Apple touts its new Retina HD display to have a wider color gamut, I'm really having a hard time noticing the difference. It could be given my active use of the 9.7-inch iPad Pro that sports the same enhancements, but this is to say that it isn't as saturated or punchy as AMOLED, but it's still a great 1080p IPS LCD nonetheless. And for those of you that have been asking about that Force Touch home button, I'm having a love and hate relationship with it. See, on the Mac, the trackpad vibrates in a way that you feel like if you're truly pressing a button, and that sensation is really phenomenal. Here, the Taptic engine provides sensation more to the back of the phone than to the button, so while I find it natural when holding the phone, you'll barely feel it on a table, and that can be really confusing. Apple does do a good job in having these taps be strong as to even make a sound like if you're pressing a button, and it's awesome to get feedback when you're pulling down the notification shade or pressing buttons on the screen, but again, so long as you're holding the phone. Now, over a day of use, what I've really enjoyed the most are these new stereo speakers. They aren't really that much louder than the previous mono speakers on the iPhones of the past, but the added depth of the sound is amazing. It actually also feels amazing as you can actually feel the chassis of the phone vibrating.
Then later builds on the success of the S7 Edge and combined both to launch its next iteration of tablet killer. The company claims to have reached...
If you've ever held an iPad Pro and felt it play audio, yeah, that feeling pretty much extends to this iPhone as well. And as for the design, I'm not regretting going gold one bit, as this does an amazing job at deterring fingerprints. I just wish that there came a time when Apple would go black on the bezels of the display for these color options, as black can be more immersive for consuming content. Now, as much as the build feels great in the hand, be warned, this is one very thick and heavy iPhone, and that new dual camera hump is far more notorious to wobbling on the table than the previous iPhone. Now, I'm not going to complain about that camera hump because that's the feature that makes the iPhone 7 Plus better than its little brother. You get the same wide-angle 12-megapixel shooter of the 7 on one side, and then a separate 12-megapixel telephoto lens on the other that provides some nifty optical zoom tricks. And what better place to test optical zoom than bringing it to a baseball game, right? So far, I'm very impressed with the color saturation and detail of the iPhone 7 Plus, far surpassing its predecessors in low-light performance, and finally a worthy competitor to this year's Galaxy offerings. The software enhancements built to switch between lenses is not really intuitive, but the switch is extremely smooth between cameras. Even if while fully zoomed in, you will feel a crazy lack of stabilization in the image. Just keep in mind that telephoto lens has an aperture of f2.8, so don't expect great low-light performance from it. Now, something that I can't say I'm really happy about with the iPhone 7 Plus over a day is battery life. It could be that my restore process has hit the battery hard, but I barely scratched the day of use yesterday, and today hasn't really been any much better. To make matters worse, charging this thing is kind of a pain, barely going from 10% to 28% in 30 minutes, something really shameful when compared to the fast charging of 2016 flagships. But hey, to be fair, this is just 24 hours of use. We've got a long and extensive review period, and time will tell if this phone really lives up to being a better iPhone, because you're actually paying extra for it. We've still got a ton of features to test, like the IP67 water and dust resistance, and make sure you chime in the comments down below over what other tests you would like us to conduct over the next couple of days. Pocketnow's iPhone coverage is brought to you by Dbrand. Check out dbrand.com to customize your iPhone with a real-time preview. Dbrand skins are designed to add grip, texture, and kill those jet black iPhone fingerprints. They ship worldwide, and iPhone skins start at just under $10. If you're interested, links are in the description. While you're at it, make sure you follow us on social media and hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. You can also catch our videos on vessel.com/pocketnow, and follow me on Twitter, Jaime_Rivera, on Instagram at Jaime Rivera. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I am Jaime Rivera. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.